Look at these pictures. See a trend? Models walking the runway, showing off the latest fashions. Thin, glamorous, sexy. These are the images that young girls are bombarded with over and over again. In diet commercials, entertainment shows, magazines, the list goes on. And all this leads young girls to believe that that's how they're supposed to look, that is the norm.
I think anyone who tries to argue that the media doesn't have something to do with it is being disingenuous. The pressure on girls is pretty extreme. And I think it's only gotten worse.
Looking at her now, you wouldn't think that Lisa Harrison is recovering from an eating disorder. She was first diagnosed with anorexia at the age of 16. As a young dancer, she was with a crowd that was very predisposed to being excessively thin.
But also, I think just as a person, I have certain characteristics that are also typical, like perfectionism and being very, driven and very single-minded about things.
She's been in and out of hospital battling anorexia for the last 15 years.
It is harder as an adult. It's a whole different ball game. And the assumption when you're an adult from the treatment side of it is that, well, you're chronic, you'll never get better. And so that's really hard as well, being faced with that attitude that if you're 31 and you're still suffering, then you're a lost cause. And I don't believe that.
Well, while Alicia's anorexia is far too common and widespread, there is a new eating disorder out there that's not that well known. It's called orthorexia, an obsession with eating healthy, like fruits, veggies, grains. Everything has to be organic and natural. But the end result is the same: overly thin and unhealthy.
Which on the surface doesn't sound like a whole heck of a lot to worry about, except that in the case of orthorexia, people are taking this concept of healthy or natural or even local eating to an extreme. And they're doing it because their focus isn't so much on wanting to be healthy as it is on wanting to have a more socially sanctioned form of restriction.
Michelle says people suffering from orthorexia are using healthy foods to mask the need to maintain appearance. But since it's relatively new and coming out of the eating healthy trend, it's taken people a while to really understand it.
We at the Cedric Center first heard about it maybe 8 years ago, and we're fairly up to speed on these things, so it's quite a new concept, and I don't even think it's made into the diagnostic manual that psychiatrists use or healthcare professionals use. So it's still relatively new.
So what do you have to look for to see if someone has orthorexia?
In general population, something that you'd look for would be somebody who is so concerned with eating healthily that even when they're really hungry, but there isn't any of their socially or they're more comfortably sanctioned foods around, they won't eat.
And the effects of this disorder, just like others, can lead to long-term health problems.
We'd struggle with problems with bone density, just problems with care for nails, teeth, all of those kinds of things, hair, and heart problems, perhaps.
Alisa is lucky her battle did not result in any long-term health issues. And that's a good thing because she's not thinking just of herself, but her 2 young daughters.
You get to the point where you have to just say, it really doesn't matter how you feel, just eat. Like, human beings have to eat food. You won't survive if you don't. And I mean, I know that sounds really so basic, but every day you just have to wake up and say, it doesn't matter if today you don't feel like eating. People eat.
In Victoria, I'm Sucheta Singh.